Okay, we have Jackson, and he's ready for your questions. We'll start with your beat writer here on the front row.
Eric Bailey with the Tulsa World. Jackson, it's good to see you again.
Yes, sir.
Just want to ask you, first of all, a lot of road games, and we talked to Kirby Smart earlier today. He talked about any road win in the SEC is a big road win. Just the mentality going on the road in this conference, what kind of mentality do you and your teammates have to take, and especially with all the close road losses you guys have had over the past year?
Yeah, for sure. Road games were a little difficult for us last year, and whether that was lack of focus or whatnot, whatever that was, we need to really hone in this year on, just focus on winning those games. And not just away games too, it's home games. It's every single game we play, we got to treat every game the same. We can't just treat one game like it's Texas. We got to treat every game like it's a rivalry game, like it's Texas, and go out and compete to our best ability.
Front row on the left.
Hey, Jackson. Brandon Drum, OU Insider Rivals.com. You were just thrust into the starter going into the Arizona Bowl game. You had 2 weeks to prepare. Can you talk about just what you noticed, just mainly about yourself between then and now, and how different is Jackson Arnold today than as a leader compared to then? Yeah,
for sure. After that Arizona game, there was a lot of maturing and a lot of growing up that I had to do. Stepping into that QB1 role, I had to be a real leader for us, for our team, and just stepping into that role. I knew I needed to mature as a person, as a player too, and the person that I am now and the player that I am now is improved drastically from where I was from that bowl game.
On the end here.
Hey, Jackson, first-year starters in college football, there tend to be ups and downs. You're going to have great moments. You're going to have tough moments. You've referenced it back in the big room, just the fact that you were thrust into a situation where you had to start pretty young in high school. Did you learn anything from that might help you just mentally work through sort of the peaks and valleys and how you might approach that as a first-year starter in the SEC?
Mm-hmm. Just, adversity is going to strike one way or another. Just knowing that I have to keep a level head, and I have to, just learn from those opportunities and not really beat myself down from it is probably the biggest learning point I could take from that.
On the left side here, third row, and then pass it over your left shoulder when you're done.
Morgan Weaver with KBTX and Bryan College Station. Just how confident are you in this team is ready for the challenge that is an SEC schedule?
Yeah, I'm extremely confident in this team. I think I can speak for everybody on the team that we're all super amped up to go out and play this SEC schedule. It's a tough one for sure, but we love the challenge. We want the challenge, and we wouldn't want it any other way.
On the aisle here.
Jay Smith, Locked On Sooners. Jackson, you spent some time at the Madden Academy not too long ago and got to enjoy some time with some of the elite quarterbacks in college football, and some of them from the SEC. Can you tell us about some of the things you learned from there that's going to help prepare you for this coming season?
There was, honestly, the Manning Passing Academy for us was just a place for us to meet each other and get around each other and hang around. Maybe some dudes that they know each other already, and it's for them to hang out with each other, There wasn't a lot of trash talking going on. There wasn't a lot of ball talk going on. We were really just hanging out with each other and speaking on that opportunity. It was great to meet those guys and just seeing how they operate. But like you said, competing against them in some of our challenges we had at night and just throwing with them in competitions. It was good to see, how I stacked up against other college QBs.
Left side, fourth row, and then pass it to the aisle when you're done.
Trevor Denton, Way 31. Jackson, feels like all week we've heard about Auburn as one of the toughest places to play in the nation. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what Carson Beck told you about what Jordan-Hare is like as a place to play in?
Yeah, he was short but sweet. He thought the place was cursed, man. I think their game was like a one touchdown game. He said it could have gone either way, but he said that place is extremely hard to play in. But again, we love the challenge. We want the challenge.
Right side on the aisle.
Hi, Jackson. Aiden Tyler, OU Nightly. Norman, you're now the starting quarterback at Oklahoma, a program that's rich with tradition at the quarterback position, a lot of Heisman Trophy winners, and that kind of sets the expectation for that position at Oklahoma. So how do you kind of just handle that pressure?
For me, first thing is to stay off social media. That blocks out a lot of pressure. And two, just honestly, just kind of ignore it too. Just block out the pressure. I feel like there's only pressure if you bring that pressure onto yourself. kind of staying calm and collected, and staying off social media has been the biggest way for me to deal with that pressure.
On the aisle here.
Gavin Baxley, ESPN, the ticket out of Montgomery. Have you gotten a chance to play the EA college football game, and what are your thoughts on your representation in it?
Yeah, we played. We actually played on the plane ride here today. Me and Danny did, and it's honestly it's really surreal playing the game. I grew up playing NCAA 14 with my friends and with my cousins, and just seeing that I'm now in the game and I'm able to play as my character now, it's really special.
Front row.
Just an aside, Brent, after every spring game, talks about the growth you guys have to make before training camp even starts. For you, what did that look like as far as looking back on your spring, what you wanted to attack this summer, and how'd you go about that without kind of the structure of spring practice, fall camp practice stuff?
I felt like the biggest thing for me after spring ball was attacking the mental side of football, whether that's looking at defenses or how Coach V looks at offenses. Getting a defensive perspective of the game, but just really focusing on the mental part of football and just kind of learning different things that will help me ID coverages or help me make better reads for the season.
Over here, left side on the aisle.
Brandon Marcello, 24/7 Sports. Jackson, Coach Venables and your teammates have both mentioned about how important it is to stand well in the trenches in this SEC schedule. You lose, obviously, a lot of starting offensive linemen. How do you feel about your group after this spring going in and being able to handle those rigors of the SEC week to week?
I feel great about that group. They've been busting their tail all spring and all summer, and it's a young group, it's a new group, but we also brought in guys from other places that have played a ton of ball. Branson's a great example. Played 3 years at SMU and started there. We don't have guys that have never played ball before. We just brought in new guys that are new to the OU culture, but I feel like they've adapted very well, and I'm really confident about that group.
I visited there a couple times when Coach Levy was there. I think it's a really unique place and a really cool stadium.
You mentioned the lineage of Oklahoma quarterbacks. What is that trying to live up to that standard? Because OU fans expect a lot from offense.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure that comes with this position for sure. At the end of the day, I just got to go out and perform to the best of my abilities and hope that I will live up to that lineage.
Jackson, do you think Morristown should be penalized?
No, but I'm not going to get into that.
What's the best part about playing with Peyton and Eli, your Geyer teammates?
It's special. I lived with Peyton my freshman year. I live with Peyton now, and just having his little brother come up too is really special. Just knowing that there's also a comfortability factor to it too. You're with guys that you've played with in high school and grew close with in high school, and now you're with them in college. It's really it doesn't happen at very many places, so it's unique to see that me and Peyton are both thriving at college, and Eli.
Jackson, how much growth and evolution have you witnessed from this Oklahoma defense throughout the offseason?
A lot of evolution. Those dudes are special, and it was huge having guys like Danny and Billy come back. Seriously, those are two of our leaders on our team, major leaders on our team and on our defense, and those dudes put out the most production last year too. And just having those guys back, and with their experience and their maturity, it really helps take this defense to a next level, in my opinion.
Jackson, what makes OU a culture fit for the SEC?
I really say how passionate our fan base is and our school is about football. SEC is all about football. Their fans are all about football, and I think that OU is the same way.
How did the SEC play a role in your decision?
It was definitely a factor for sure. I really didn't base it off of us going to the SEC. I really focused more on the fit for me and the development for me, and just kind of the environment that I wanted to be in, the culture I wanted to be a part of.
But it did make it more enticing.
For sure.
What's it going to do for the Oklahoma brand, which is already huge in college football?
Yeah, it's going to boost that brand even more, especially when we start seeing success, hopefully this year in the SEC. It'll definitely boost that brand.
Jason, how often do you think back to that first varsity start you had at Denton Geyer, and how does that compare to that game you had in Arizona? What confidence does that instill in you?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. That's a great question. My freshman year. In high school, my freshman year, I was thrown to the state championship game. I was like 5'10", like 170, and got destroyed. I don't even know if I had like 20 yards passing that game. But really, just looking at that game, it pushed me. It was a great deal of a great deal of adversity I had to overcome from that game and just throughout my high school career. And just looking back on that, it really reminded me of the Arizona game this year. But just having that first experience, just I knew that I had to learn from that game, one, but two, just move past it, move on, and really focus on this next upcoming season.
Does it kind of reiterate the confidence that you have in yourself, knowing that you had that game that then emerged into what you became later?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely helps with the confidence, just knowing that I've been there before, I've done it, I've seen it. I mean, the Arizona game, obviously not the result we wanted, but just a great learning opportunity for me and a great first game, first experience for me to get out of the way.
Obviously, every game in the SEC is going to be a huge one this season. Can you speak to the excitement around the Red River rivalry? I was just saying that obviously every game this season is going to be huge because we're in the SEC now. But can you speak to Red River rivalry with Texas and how excited you are about that this season?
Yeah, extremely excited. Obviously, it's a very special game, very special rivalry. I'd say it's probably the best in college football. I might be biased because we're Oklahoma, but seriously, it's a great atmosphere. Running out of that tunnel, it's second to none, and just hearing that crowd roar, it's really an unbelievable experience, and I'm super excited to start that game this year.
Jackson, you talked about how much of a learning experience that bowl game was. How much of a different quarterback do you think you are today than you were back then?
A lot different. I had a whole spring ball, whole almost summer to learn from that game and really apply the things that I learned into that offseason, into that spring ball. So I think whether it's timing, decisions, footwork, all of the above, I think I've improved dramatically as a player.
Thank y'all.
Awesome.